One of the both smartest and dumbest PC upgrades you can get is undoubtedly upgrading your PC's RAM. And you're probably thinking, how can it be both at the same time? Well, it all depends on your situation and your PC combined. So I'll be giving recommendations for what you might need, whether you're an office worker, a casual browser, a gamer, or a creator. First up, if you work in an office all day with programs like Salesforce, Word, PowerPoint, or Zoom, etc., 16 gigabytes of RAM should be good for you. It'll allow your computer to run seamlessly at the same time as going through everything you feed it at a good pace, as well as not being terribly expensive to buy. If you're a gamer, on the other hand, 16 gigs would be okay for most mid-spec games, 2020, 2021, or earlier, and if you just want to play Fortnite or Roblox, it should also run that pretty well too. On the other hand, if you want to play Red Dead Redemption 2, GTA 5, Forza Horizon 5, or any other fairly performance-demanding games, you might want to have 32 gigabytes of memory. 32 gigabytes of memory, aka RAM, if you didn't already know that, would also be quite helpful if you want to run simple editing softwares or small projects on something like Adobe Premiere Pro, or editing in Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop or Adobe AI. The next default step up is 64 gigabytes of RAM, being overkill for most people, but if you want almost always seamless gaming experience, or editing experience, or whatever you do, assuming your GPU and CPU aren't absolute crap, it would be definitely helpful. It's also useful if you want to run big projects on Premiere Pro, or development of video games, or animation design. This is because these actions tend to take up a lot of memory. For most people, 64 gigs will be more than enough RAM. But if you happen to somehow possibly need even more RAM, the next level up, and hopefully the last level you will ever need, is 128 gigabytes of RAM. The only reason you might possibly need this much freaking RAM is either you run very complex video editing timelines, or you are running Blender, animation, development, etc., at very high graphical responsibilities. Fidelities, that's a better word for it.
That was just a funny word to use.
I know. Me personally, I have around 80 gigs of RAM, which is actually what's right here. Because of Premiere Pro, so there are definitely uses for more RAM, but it isn't as common. Also, 80 gigs isn't a common number, but it is what I run. Now, how should you pick out your RAM? Well, whether you want RGB is up to you, because it's just an added finish and it doesn't really help performance. Actually, sorry, it doesn't help performance at all, and it just makes your computer look cool if that's something you like. What you do want to make sure though is that you get either DDR4 or DDR5 memory, because if you get DDR3, it generally is outdated and it will make your PC run slower than you thought it would. You also want to make sure, and I mean make sure, that your RAM does not run at 2500 megahertz or lower. Ideally, 3200 megahertz or 3600 megahertz would be great, and it should run you different prices depending on what RGB brand and speed choices you choose. Generally, I like to use XPG, Crucial, TeamGroup, and Corsair, as they are generally quite reliable. But this does also probably beg the question in your mind, how do I know if I need more RAM? Like, how do I know that's the problem? Well, a lot of you guys probably do know this answer, but if you didn't, I'll go ahead and tell you. What you need to do is go over onto your computer, run a software that generally does lag or have trouble when you're using it, whether that may be a game or something like Premiere Pro, Blender, or whatever else it might be. Go ahead and open up Task Manager while that is running, and you should be able to see all the different components of your computer and what part is using the most percentage of what it's capable of. Your CPU and GPU will generally be lower unless they are absolute dog water, and you can see right here, if you need RAM, it will probably be between 80% and 100, which generally makes it run really slow because it's writing as much as it possibly can, and that's not great, because then it doesn't have any extra room, so it gets all panicked and freaks out and lags your computer. So that's probably why you're having trouble. What I have right here, this is XPG, 8 gigs each, and this is a TeamGroup T-Force Delta, 32 gigs each, and they both run me very well. You can mix and match RAM if you do decide to. Mix and match your brands if you decide to. Just make sure that you don't have all 4 sticks or 2 sticks different brands. Generally, you want 2 sticks that are the same brand, and you can just match them in pairs. And installing your RAM, there are plenty of videos on the web about that. I'm not putting that in here because I don't know how retention would do with showing you guys how to do that. Anyways, just know you always do want to make sure that these two sticks of RAM are not directly next to each other in the slots, and you want them to kind of be staggered so that you can get the most performance out of your slots in your computer. Otherwise, you will be buying RAM and be so confused why you had no performance left. Well, I think that's why. Unless you only have 2 slots, then you just use both slots, and there you go. And if you do want to buy any of these brands, I will have my personal recommendations linked down in the description, and if you use our link, well, it really does help out the channel, and it does no extra cost to you, so you can go check that out. Also, you check out our Patreon. We post funny bloopers from these videos and our other videos that we post, and man, they're funny, and it'll give you lots of entertainment for only a little bit of money a month. And so, I mean, it helps us be able to make all of these videos because I make no profit. So you can go check that out below. The link is in the description at You can go check that out at patreon.com/Silverstrike, and we'd really appreciate it. The link is also in the description. Meanwhile, if you enjoyed the video, you can go ahead and hit that like button, maybe subscribe if you haven't already, because we do appreciate it. And let us know what you think about what we said in this video in the comments, or if you have any kind of constructive criticism, if you have any constructive criticism, oh my goodness. If you have any constructive criticism on these videos, let us know in the comments as well, as it always helps us grow in our video quality. Without further ado, y'all have a great rest of your day, and maybe go outside and drink a Coke or something. I don't know. And we'll see you guys in a next video next week. Y'all have a great rest of your day.